50 years may not seem like a long time to most people, but it does to me.
And then you hear the statistics about businesses failing within 3 to 5 years. You realize what an accomplishment it is.
Some of them just said that won't last. And that was early on.
Of course, Daddy was a farmer, but he wasn't doing too well. And farming is hard, and freezes are hard, and borrowing money is hard.
Grandpa Ford labored to provide for his family. I remember him getting up real early in the morning, doing his exercise, listening to the weather report and praying that the rain would come or that the rain wouldn't come. Totally out of his control. But he had to deal with whatever he had to do.
Daddy realized that he could go to work as a real estate salesman on Padre Island because he loved Padre Island, and lots were beginning to sell and they were beginning to pave the roads. When the Picadillo Garza, our representative, needed a post office for the United States government in Port Isabel, Daddy was able to find the right corner, the right land, and the right price. When he concluded that sale, you would have thought Daddy had sold the White House. He was so proud of himself.
Grandpa started in the business where he didn't even have, barely had listing contracts, and he certainly didn't have multiple listing, and he thought that was way too much paperwork when he had to fill out a multiple listing form.
He was a handshake kind of guy. If you said it, then he believed it, and you better follow through on what you said you were going to do. So when we had to go to contracts, 3-page, then 10-page, then 30-page contracts, Grandpa wanted nothing to do with that. If you couldn't fulfill your word, then you weren't worth the paper that all that was written on. So he knew the land, and he knew people, and he could put people together with their land.
And the office in Port Isabel wasn't very big, but on the day of the opening, he had a lot of friends and family come out, and flowers were there, and Julie was there. Chris wasn't born yet. And Daddy worked for Port Isabel, Padre Island, and then came into Brownsville to manage his farming, and then go back out there, and in between he had a life, and then later Mother got sick. So he moved the office to Brownsville, into his home. His trips to Houston with Mother became more frequent, and that's about the time I got my license so that I could help when they were out of town. Beulah came. Beulah destroyed crops. Daddy was able to give up farming, and Mother died soon thereafter. And so I was working full-time. Daddy was working full-time at Port Isabel, no longer. And I was able to do 2 jobs, raising kids and working in real estate. So Daddy and I became great developers. We developed subdivisions. Of course, all we did was get a surveyor out there to cut lines on a piece of paper. But because these lines, these lots faced on a public road, we could do it. About that time, Mark decided he wanted to join the firm. And that didn't sound like fun to me, but he was going to be commercial department. I was going to be residential. He was going to leave me alone. I was going to leave him alone. Well, that wasn't the way it happened.
As all parents, you want your children to make a good living and be healthy, whole, physically, mentally, emotionally. And Mom was real concerned about me coming back to the family real estate business. She knows how hard it was to keep the doors open, to make payroll. If she had her way, I would have gone out to work got a job at the Port of Brownsville and had insurance and had a steady paycheck. But she knew that it was something that I had already been licensed since I was 18 years old. I was one of the youngest members of the board of realtors, had a little bit of experience in college and in the area of some sales work. But she knew that coming back from Drennan, there was something that was added to that could work for Coastal. So I learned a lot in being with the Drennan company. We had an opportunity to develop property from the beginning to the end. We would do site selection, we would do bank packaging, we would do the construction drawings, and after we got the tenant in, we do the property management. So I brought a lot of experience from those years at Drennan, and decided that in July of 1981 that I'd get married and to Patty, and told Drennan that I was going back to the family real estate business, and that's where the commercial division of Coastal was birthed. I tried to borrow enough money to get by that first year after leaving Drennan's paycheck and payroll, and the bank said, "You did a great job on your loan presentation, but we don't lend money to guys like you." And I'm glad they didn't. I can remember walking out of that bank and Randy McClellan says, "You're one of those guys that's going to make it." And that's exactly what's happened. And I've held on to that truth about me.
It was a Christmas party in '85 that I was sitting down talking with Dad about thinking that I wanted to get into the real estate business. It was in my blood. It was my desire. And Dad sat there and said, "If that's what you want to do, you go for it. Do it."
Jimmy joined the firm, which was against my wishes. I didn't want him to because I was afraid if he didn't make money, I would worry about him. And that Kay would not want him to not make money, and she would worry about him. But Mark didn't care, so Mark hired him over my dead body. Turns out I thought about it. What person would you want to work for you? Someone who had a college degree, who had a wonderful reputation in the city, who had worked for a bank, who had all the references anyone needed. I decided Jimmy was going to do all right, so I let him stay.
Leaving Batzel's and coming into there, and I thought I was going to take him out and show him the ropes and show him how to do commercial real estate. And I went into our first meeting at the Cameron County Irrigation District out at Los Fresnos, and realized he knew all the board members. I didn't hardly know any of them. I just knew the meeting process, and Jimmy had been selling them shotguns and fishing equipment and stuff, so he started fitting right in. And the rest is history. Jimmy just blossomed because of his relationships in the banking industry and through the retail and knowing people around town. He had enough relationships and referral base that he just was like a fish in water. He really took off in the real estate area.
I came over to this building from across the street where we officed, and for some reason needed to talk to Mark Blakemore. And Blakemore was sitting in Mark's office. And after doing the business with him, I looked around and I just loved it. Even loved it more than our across the street office that was on the Resaca also. And I said, "Mark Blakemore, is this office for sale?" He says, "Well, by the way, it is for sale." And so he gave me Mr. McMillan's number. I took it over to Mark, and quickly we decided we want to buy this building. We want an office over here. And so Mark started negotiating with Mr. McMillan, and an attorney group kind of got in our way, and they were going to buy it. So that went on for Mr. McMillan said, "I've got a better offer, and you guys are in second position." So we took our position and waited. Not long after that, Mr. McMillan called back and said, "Mark, if you guys want to buy that building, it's yours." So Mark said, "We'll buy it, but we want that bear that we've seen in the lobby." And Mr. McMillan's laughed and said, you want that bear, you can have it, but you're going to have to come pick it up. It's in Houston in front of a pawn shop attracting customers. So we went to a men's retreat in Columbus. And on the way back from Columbus, we went and picked up that bear, put him inside a U-Haul trailer, and brought him back to Brownsville. We have many, many families come in and want to take pictures with their children next to the bear, or we have customers that really are inspired by it or interested in it. We get to tell them the story, and it does start us off on a story about hunting, fishing, and some of what we love to do. I find that some of my customers will talk more about sports than we will about the deal.
Coastal Realty truly is a family business. My family. Of course, I worked with Daddy for those years, then with Mark, then with Jimmy, then Chris, who became our appraisal department.
Dad, of course, has been here for years and been a faithful anchor in the area of the finances and helping pay the bills and make sure all of our creditors are happy and taken. Sam came back to the family business and added his expertise and wit in the area of the county.
I was so blessed when Samuel decided to come back to the business. That first year he was back, we worked together. He did everything I asked him to do, and had the biggest, best year of my career as far as production, sales. What the incredible blessing that he and David brought to us early on was the tech world, and everywhere we've gone and everybody we've talked to and done business with recognizes that we are far ahead of most real estate companies in the tech world.
David helped us with the website and helped put us on board with a standardized property brief format that is, again, one of our trademarks today. Jeremy's now back with the company, and his passion and his heart for the legacy of Coastal is what's going to help it extend into the next 50 years. Jeremy has a clear understanding of what Coastal is all about. Grandpa, the importance of what it is to me. And he just connects the dots. He gets it. He put a package together that can speak volumes to the 20-member Garcia family meetings. He can do one-on-one meetings. He is personable. He understands finances. And now Cynthia's come back to the business, and we're excited about where she's going to help fill some of the void that's been gone for so long since Mother's departure. The well-roundedness we have seen with all of the family members that bring something to the table has been one of the characteristics that is the backbone for Coastal. Our reputation has carried itself. It continues to carry itself, and now the life that's being breathed in with Sam and Jeremy and the youth that's coming back to the family business has just been a real big help.
It's amazing that we were all able to work together over a period of 40 or so years, and still work together on Thanksgiving or Christmas, or when any time a family can't get together, we are.
I've just seen the importance of what Grandpa started and Mother followed through with, and I followed through with, and that foundation that we can work from. That people can come in here and make use of their talents and skills, and for a season they run and they help shape what Brownsville real estate looks like and the dimension that they add to the different parts of the real estate business.
The fact that I get to come to work with family, get to come and rub shoulders with them, have coffee with them, spar. The greatest thing that Mom, Mark, and I, and Samuel, and now Jeremy and Barry are able to do is spar back and forth about the best we know about a piece of property and how we can best help those customers and get the deal done.
Incredible part of my life, just so proud to be a part of a family business that people look up to and respect and can say good things about, doesn't have a bad reputation in the marketplace, and been a place to be able to build wealth and raise families and opportunity for them to go forward. So I'm thankful for that.
Some of them just said that won't last. And that was early on. And here it is 26 and 30 and 50 years later that it has lasted, and I believe it will last on into the future, and the family legacy will continue.